Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much for staying with us. And just as I mentioned before we ended the bulletin, we have an interview to talk about older persons in the country. Now, on the 14th of December 1990, the United Nations General Assembly designated October the 1st as the International Day of Older Persons. The day serves as a platform to honor and recognize the valuable contributions and challenges faced by older persons worldwide. And as Kenya, like many other nations, experiences a demographic shift towards an aging population, it becomes increasingly crucial to address the unique needs and rights of older individuals. This year's theme is fulfilling the promises of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights for older persons across generations. And to help me in this discussion, I have a panel of older persons and also one of the representatives of older people. So I want to start by introducing our first guest. On my immediate right is Pauline Makwaka. She's the Executive Director, Senior Women Citizens for Change. Welcome to the program. Asante sana. Just next to her is Daniel Gathu, Older Citizen Monitor, Kibra Day Care Center for the Elderly. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And we also have Carol Agengo. She's the Global Initiatives Lead and Regional Representative, Helpage International.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making the time and really coming in quite early, for us to discuss this particular issue. And Carol, maybe before I even engage Daniel and Pauline, first of all, tell us, Helpage Kenya, what does it do?
I represent Helpage International, which is a global organization that unites about 171 organizations globally in 90 countries, and we work on the rights, well-being, and dignity of older persons. We have country offices in 13 countries, including Kenya. So we have Helpage International in Kenya. We work with network members. So Mr. Gathu here comes from one of our network members, which is the Kibera Day Care Center for the Elderly. We work on 4 main themes: income security, healthy aging, a society for all ages, and inclusive humanitarian action. We try and lift the voice and dignity of voice and agency of older people, so that they are included in the discussions for development as deserving members of the society. We also work on the rights of older people, which is very relevant for this year's International Day of Older Persons. We're reflecting on the rights of older persons in the Universal Declaration, which celebrates 75 years this year. And it is unfortunate that 75 years on, we don't have a convention on the rights of older people. So that is broadly what we do.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that, a brief on the work of Helpage Kenya International. And just like you've already broken it down, there are many aspects, in terms of old age. And it's one of the things that, like I mentioned before, is inevitable. We are all going there. So there is need to put in structures that, protect older persons. So maybe you can just give us a brief in the context of Kenya. What are some of the challenges that you're seeing, older persons grapple with?
The challenges that older people face in Kenya are not very different from those that older people face anywhere in the world. Of course, the context differs. But in Kenya, one of the things that we see is the stigmatization and the pushing of older people to the periphery. As you grow older, you find that you're considered less relevant in the society. And unfortunately, in certain communities, older people are actually violated in very disturbing ways, such as what we've seen with the burning of older women on accusations of witchcraft. In Kisii, some of this is also common elsewhere. In Kilifi, it's older men and women. In parts of Murang'a, Mwingi, we've seen such cases. And an older person is basically victimized because of their appearance. Maybe they've got wrinkled skin, red eyes, they're not able to express themselves carefully. Some of them suffer dementia. And this then, they find themselves in a situation where they're pushed aside. But this is triggered by cultural and social norms, which then put ageism to the forefront. Ageism is where you discriminate against somebody on the basis of their age. And we've seen that in our cultures, in our traditions, in the way we do things. So, and maybe just to close, the other thing that affects older people that spreads across, there is the issue of poverty, because you're not allowed to work up after a certain age.
And we'll be getting to that. We'll be getting to some of the challenges when it comes to, you know, retirement and all that in just a short while. So, Pauline, I'd like to bring you in, just as already Carol has already, you know, briefed us on some of the challenges that older persons go through. Maybe you can give us an experience. Maybe you have a personal experience that you can share with us.
Yes, thank you so much. Our organization, Senior Women Citizens for Change, started looking at the rights of older women and men. And we found out that in the communities where we were working, the elderly people were not being heard into anything, not even in decision making, starting from their family. And we also found out that they had no economic empowerment. Most of them are very, very poor and neglected by the families and by the community and the society. So what we did, we started addressing the issues of rights for older women and men. And we found out that they lacked a voice. They could not come forward and speak even in the community. So we addressed the chiefs and administrators, called them for a meeting and said, please, we are having this problem, lack of appreciation for the elder people, especially on the ground, in the families. You found out that during HIV and AIDS, the elderly women, especially women, elderly women and men, they were the ones taking care of the children of the lost members, the young people. And they had nothing. I remember one day in Busia County, there was a woman who was looking after 12 children when we started our organization. The woman could go around looking for food as old as she was. She could bring the food on the table. Just imagine, who ate the food? The children. Because she could just look on, because the children were even more hungry. Although she was hungry, but she was protecting the children to make sure that they have something to eat.
So, just like you're explaining, there are unique, you know, problems facing older persons. And in this case, you're talking about the challenges that women go through, you know, older women. And I'd like to bring Daniel in right now, and maybe you could explain to us, you know, what is unique to men when it comes to old age?
Thank you. My name is Daniel Gadu, as I have said before, and older citizens monitor and KBC daycare. You understand that unlike our friends, the women, there is this situation of the men. There is a men ego, and generally men feel that they're the ones at the forefront. And so in most cases, though, the problems that women go through, particularly in old age, are much more. Definitely the men actually are like the people who talk. So as our sister is saying, that has been the operation of the women. It's good that they raised that concern. Yes.
Okay. So you're saying men do not go through as much as problems as much as women do?
No, they don't. You see the situation of men being the leaders.
Yes.
And the leaders are normally held, that position.
So they have a voice in the community.
They have a voice, the women. And there has been the issue of discrimination of women, even culturally, even from the place I come from. Yeah. The women have been actually discriminated. Even as I grew as a small boy and I grew up as a man, I have noticed that there is a true voice. There is raised voice for women.
Okay.
Yes.
Carol, Pauline has just mentioned something about financial difficulties. Yes. And, in our context in Kenya, by the time you're 60 years, you're supposed to retire from, active work. How has that, impacted, especially when it comes to pension, and all that, just economic empowerment at that age?
Maybe to answer, I'll ride on something Daniel has said. He's brought the difference between men and women, but he's also brought in the aspect that some of this starts when they're young. He said when he was a boy, as he grew into a man. And that we see there's a gender aspect, even in ageism. So there's gendered ageism. And that plays out along the life course. And that's what I want to bring in, the fact that the issue of income security is not, it doesn't just pop up when you're 60. It's a problem that starts and grows as you go towards old age. But now it becomes problematic because we don't have social protection systems. We've always operated under this notion that our children will take care of us. But is that even a fair thing to do? Yet older people have been working all their lives. They have made their contribution to society, but we don't have systems that enable them to prepare well for old age. The social protection systems, ways of ensuring that they have their income security guaranteed. So if we look at our social protection frameworks or even the laws that govern retirement, a lot of them, the taxation is so heavy. When you retire at 60, you get taxed between 50 and 65. You still get taxed extremely heavily. Never mind that you are taxed at source when you're putting your pension together. So the only time you can get your money tax-free is at 65. But what happens between 60 and 65? What happens to you? So we have to rethink how we look at our social protection frameworks, but also the whole issue of income security in old age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're talking about pension, Pauline. I'm sure probably in your network you've, come across people who are not receiving their pension immediately when they retire, and that actually impacts their, ability to take care of themselves and their families.
Yeah, thank you so much. In our organization, we made sure our older persons were getting social cash for the elderly. Because we found out that some of them were just left out. And some of them were being deceived by the administration that we are getting money from Obama. That is what they were saying. They were saying that this money is from Obama and we are the ones who are giving you the money. So you should give us something. But we made a stand. We stood up and said, no, we are going to make sure that these older people will report cases of cash transfer. Now, I got a call from home, because I keep on talking to them in Kakamega. They told me now they are getting the cash transfer often than before. But sometimes they were waiting for 4 months, 3 months before they get. But nowadays, although it's 2,000 shillings, you can see the economy the way it is. What can you do with 2,000 shillings? We are even asking the government to make the older people live a happy life and dignified life. Because if the elder person is sick, how will she go to the hospital with 2,000? Although they are saying they will cover them, but some of them have been not fulfilled. This promise that they are going to cover our health issues.
In terms of health insurance. And
so an older person, elderly people like me, we suffer so much. We need to go and be treated because we have a lot of illnesses diabetes, what is this other one? Diabetes, blood pressure, and other diseases like arthritis.
And we'll be delving more into the health, insurance for older persons and how best it can be covered, But I want to bring Daniel in, and I'm listening to Pauline, and she's talking about the Inua Jamii, the Inua Jamii cash transfer program that is also targeted towards the elderly people. But what happens is until you're 70 years, that's when you're eligible to this cash transfer program. Do you think that this age needs to come down, and definitely the money needs to be increased?
Definitely. Actually, as older persons, we find it very unfair. Life expectancy for the older persons is slightly below 70. That is according to the statistics which have been corrected. So when we wait until people are 70 to give them the 2,000, are we suggesting that these people should all die before they benefit from this government? So it needs to be lowered, because it means when we retire to 60, it means now that we don't have the energy to do things, and we need to be taken care of. So they should lower this at least to 65. Because probably up to 3 years to live, but at 65, people live for 3 years and then they are gone. So when you wait up to 70, surely you are not doing justice to the Kenyans who have brought this nation to where we are today. So something should be done.
And I want to agree with you there, because where we are today, where I am today, is as a result of my parents. They're older people, so and I am also getting older, so we are all going to be there. So it's inevitable. So structures have to be put in place, because none of us is going to be spared in as far as aging is concerned. And Carol, let's delve into the issue of health. Do you think there's supposed to be some policy changes in terms of taking care of older persons' health?
Yeah, absolutely. But let's look at why. I think Pauline has articulated a lot of issues that touch on health. There's the direct health consequences on older people, and then there's the indirect one that she spoke about at the beginning. You're an older person and you're taking care of other people within your family. Now that impinges on your health as a person, but also on your ability to get income. So it pushes you further down on the economic ladder, never mind all the other issues she's raised about the cost of living, etc. But the health, that's one aspect. The second aspect is that our health systems are not geared up for older people. Because even if you look at issues such as geriatrics, how many people even study geriatrics? We know about pediatricians, we know about gynecologists, dentists, every other body of health. But in terms of geriatrics, it's almost unknown.
That's a specialized area, just to deal with older people.
Older people. Okay. So it's very almost unknown. So we also have to kind of step up in how we look at aging from a health perspective. The issues of long-term care, the issues of non-communicable diseases that she's mentioned, but now bring in the aspect of insurance. Even for the insurance companies that have put in place policies for older people, a lot of them have so many conditions. Just last week, a friend of mine called me. Her mother has a cover with one of these insurance companies, got pneumonia, was admitted in hospital, and the insurance company has refused to pay. They're now faced with a bill of about 1.2 million, and they say that the pneumonia was caused by her mom's bed sores. She had been down because of she's immobile, and she also suffers dementia. So they're thinking of selling a house belonging to the mother. That's taking away her income. But it's because our system just does not have the frameworks for taking care of older people. So we have to think about it in that way. And you also raised a very important issue. We're all aging. We're all going to get there. So let's put in place systems that will take care of older people today, but also older people in the future. And finally, on the health issue also, we have to think about, if we reflect on COVID-19, if COVID-19 had hit Kenya and Africa the way it hit the rest of the world. Let's just stop and imagine for a minute what would have happened. Did we have the capacity? We don't even have the infrastructure. We were hearing cases of hospitals lacking beds. We still hear that today. If we have a crisis such as COVID, again, what's going to happen to older people?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Daniel, you know, as Carol and even Pauline mentioned about, you know, health in old age, I'm just wondering, there are unique, can I say, health issues that affect men. I do not know in your network, what are you seeing? And men also have a very poor way of, you know, accessing health. I don't know that actually improves, because you'll find most people in hospitals are women, and a woman, when she's feeling something odd, she will run to hospital. But that is not mostly for men, especially at a younger age. I don't know what happens in older age.
Now, you see, the situation of men is that they feel they are strong. Even when they are sick, they don't want to come out and say they are not well. They have the tendency of just staying.
Okay, Daniel, just hold that thought. Okay. We are coming back in just a short break. So stay with us. We are taking a short break, and we'll be back with this discussion. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. This morning we are speaking about old age, some of the needs and challenges that face older people in context, within the context of Kenya. It's a shared, you know, experience worldwide, but this morning we are speaking to our experience here in Kenya, and our guests are still in studio. So, Daniel, just before we went on the break, you were talking about the, you know, behaviors of men in terms of accessing health.
Yes. Yeah. Let me go back to when I was a small boy. I grew knowing that men do not cry. So even as a small boy, I should not cry, even if I have a lot of pain. And this is what happens even to today, particularly from where I have been brought up, that men will be unwell and they will live with the, you know, condition that they are suffering from. Unlike our colleagues, the women, who rush to see a doctor. So men will stay on until the condition gets worse. That's when they go to see a doctor. So when they go to see a doctor, the treatment will be actually like not there, because the condition has already worsened. And that is why, no wonder, we men don't live long like the women, because we do not go to receive medical attention at an early age when the disease strikes. So actually that is when what happens to men. Men do not want to go to seek treatment, so they stay until the family now notices this man is very sick, and they push him to see a doctor. So that is a challenge men have had. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Pauline, let's talk about the, you know, cultural you know, effects, if I may put it that way. You know, especially in Kisii, if I'm not wrong, Carol, you'll correct me. There's, okay, and Kilifi County, by the way, there was a time that, you know, older people were endangered, if I may put it that way. You know, the minute you're suspected to be suspected, not that even you're a witch, but even if you are, but then there's the law. You know, they are attacked and all. Do you think, like, the law enforcement, you know, apparatus do not take seriously the issues that affect older people?
I think this is the area that we should address, and we are concerned as older people, because as Carol says, the discrimination and the silence of our rights by the community, by ourselves, by the state, we are not able to come forward and say, this is wrong. To me, I feel to kill an elderly person because she's a witch, because her eyes are red. How many men have got red eyes and they are not killed? And to say, don't cry because I am a man. Let me tell you my experience. when men are sick, they are really crying. They are really wanting attention from the older women.
Yeah.
Like my husband was sick, and I was the one to help him. But you woman fall sick, a man will not even come to you. So I am not challenging you, but I'm telling you the truth. What we are saying, whatever gender, we must respect each other. You respect me as a man, and I respect you as an old person, so that we can move forward and live happily with dignity. So in Kisii, we went. I think we went when one of the old ladies was dead, and we went to her house. We found out that she was killed by her own close family members, simply because of land, not because of witchcraft, but because they wanted to take away the land from her.
So essentially, we can also talk about disinheritance of older people. You know, we talk about disinheritance of widows and orphans. So what you're saying is more or less that's what it is.
Now, Madam, when we started the program, we found out that the people who would like to inherit me, I'm a widow myself, but I refuse to be inherited, because the inheritor who comes is not to take care of me and my children. What he wants is what I have, my land, my money, and everything. So we had experience in Kisumu, where some old women were being inherited, and we went and told them, stay alone.
Yeah.
Take care of your children. So the inheritance is not a strong thing for me to be inherited.
Okay.
So older people should live a dignified life, and they should make decisions on what they want to do, whether they want another man after the death or not.
Yes.
They are the ones to decide, not any other person.
And definitely they've contributed to the, society in very many ways. So I do want to agree with you. Older people should live their lives in dignity. And, Carol, when it comes to modernization, can I say the family structure has changed in so many ways. Just in brief, how has that urban, migration, especially by the younger ones, who were then back at home taking care of the older people, affected, the support system of older people?
I think what urbanization has done mainly is it has created loneliness for older people. Before, when we grew up, we knew whenever you retired, you got your wheelbarrow, you went back home, then your children visited you back home. But who retires back home anymore? A lot of older people are staying in urban areas, and it's extremely lonely for them. But even the ones who stay in the villages, it is very, very lonely, because our social fabric has changed. We're no longer what we were before, and so the issue of community, living in community, has completely shifted around. So you find that right now the issue of older people staying in the villages alone, maybe you get someone to take care of your older parent, but the person works, and at times they even abuse them. There's a lot of abuse of older people by their caregivers, whether it's children or employed people who are employed to take care of them. They abuse them physically, at times sexually. They take away their money. You send your parent 5,000 shillings on M-Pesa, and because the parent gives the worker to go and withdraw the money, the worker withdraws the money and gives them 3,000. You do shopping for your parents, they take away the food. So there's a lot of abuse in so many forms. And just the issue of what Pauline brought about, of lynching widows because of suspicion of witchcraft, while it is for reasons of inheriting their land, is very common, only that it's playing out in certain areas more than others. But the issue of killing and hurting older people for their property is something that is even going on with families. We've had cases of someone saying, my child tried to kill me because of the land. They want me to move out of the house. The laws are not protecting older people, because the Kisii case, for example, we have criminal laws. Why are the criminal laws not taking effect?
So are you saying that even when you pursue this in courts, the justice is not
No, it is.
guaranteed?
We pursued, and Pauline was part of, we were with Pauline,
Yes.
Karika, and a few other organizations, and we rallied together under what was called the Utu Coalition, and pushed for the prosecution of the people in Kisii, the ones who had linked the 4 women. But had we not come in strongly, that case would have disappeared. There
So
are many
an
cases.
older person on their own are not able to access justice?
Yes, it's very difficult.
You know, time is running out for us, but I'd like us just to say one or two. I want to come to Daniel, and I don't know if I should ask you this on air, but maybe you can tell us how old you are, and what lessons have you learned through life, and what would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give to your younger self?
Thank you. I'm not sure I was saying my age. This coming month, 9th of November, I'll be 68.
Okay.
And I thank God for living within the life expectancy.
Yes.
And as my sisters are saying, it's like when we age, there's not really anybody to take care of us. As they are saying, even our children at times are busy doing their own things. They say they are not economically strong. They are not ready to support their parents.
Yet you are there supporting them.
Yes, yet since birth, taking them to the best schools and making sure they are comfortable.
Yeah.
We did all that. But they give excuses of the prevailing economic conditions. So I would say that I don't know what I would say about how do we take care of the older persons? Because if our children will not be able to take care of us, because they also have their own commitments. The state, we hear big budgets of billions of shillings attributed to this and this. Why don't somebody come with a policy to say we are having so many elderly people here, and every year there are many more coming in? How can we support them?
And probably, you know, Carol, I mean, I was thinking about it even as we're preparing for this particular show. I personally think like 60 years is still a very, you know, not just active, but you're full of wisdom, wealth, and experiences, whatever work you're doing. So are there ways that you think the government or policies that should come in to, you know, engage older people? I know in the active workforce, they're not supposed to be there because the policy is that they're supposed to retire. But I also feel that that's the time that somebody has a wealth of experience to be able to impart on the younger people in the workforce.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of scope for intergenerational activity. Because we started off, and I think both Daniel and Pauline said, older people have given to the society and made society what it is today. Why do we want to cut it off at the age of 60? Why do we want to throw away all that they brought in at the age of 60? Can we find a way of ensuring that whatever they bring in continues to inform the coming generations? That's one. Two, the intergenerational perspective is very, very important, because you said it yourself, you look young, you're aging. So if you do not get engaged into issues that touch on older people, it's going to be more difficult back there. So imagine, we're talking of the economic conditions. Young people right now are having a lot of challenges. Their life is difficult. Earth is hard. Can you imagine how much harder Earth will be for you when you're 60?
Yeah, because the family structure has changed.
Yes.
Now people are even opting to live the same. So in just a few seconds, Pauline, what advice do you have for younger people, you know, and also what you've learned through life?
Yeah, I am happy myself. I'm 80 plus.
Yes. Congratulations.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So I am happy with my children, wherever they are. They are the ones taking care of me. I lived in Bahati estate for many years. But my children, who are strong economically, said, Mom, you have lived in one room for many years.
Okay.
You brought us in that room. We want you to move out.
Yes.
And now I'm living in Umoja. And they have respect for other people because they know the elderly people have got a lot of wisdom. We can pass it on to them by integration. In my organization, we have integration. We started with young people as well. We are also having people with disabilities. And we found out that we all belong to the community. And we need to strengthen our unity so that we can move forward and help other community members to be involved into what we are doing.
Thank you.
It is important. Integration is very important. So that I brush shoulders with a young person and he brushes or she brushes shoulders with me.
So we get to learn from each other.
We learn from one another. And at the same time, respect. A young person, the young person should respect me.
Thank you.
As Carol, you are saying, me, I have a problem. Even in matatus. I have a problem on the streets of Nairobi. There is a young man who was with a wheelbarrow. And he told me, what are you doing in town? You better go back home. As Carol is saying, most of us live in town. But respect. The roads in Nairobi are not for only young people.
Yes, exactly. I mean, older people are part of the society, so we must respect each other, even as we are growing old. I mean, listening to you, speaking, I don't want to be treated like that. I don't want to be like, invisible at a certain point, in my life. So it's high time that, maybe things have changed, because I tend to feel like in the older days, older people were more respected. I don't know, maybe this modernization, individualistic kind of living and all that. So thank you so much once again, Carol, Daniel and Pauline. We could go on and on. I've actually overrun the program, but thank you so much back at home for taking the time, to listen to us and to learn one or two. I hope that you understand older people are part of the society. We are all growing old. So at some point, you will be in this position, and what will you want, how would you want people to treat you, and what policies or at least protection would you want when you grow old? So thank you so much once again. Good Morning Kenya still continues. Vivian and DJ Unique, and together with Mike are on standby. They will be taking you through the entertainment segment. So thank you once again. My name is Marie Ambo. See you again next time.